Bobby Walmsley. Bobby Walmsley here, Western Michigan. Okay, as we go forward, okay, you're going to like a lot of things I have to say about your mechanics because I think they're really sound. And as we just talked about, they're very repeatable, which is why you've had a lot of success throwing strikes, as you said, okay? That all makes sense when you watch your video here. One thing that jumps out right away, if we go back a little bit on that first pitch, is if we go back a little bit, your weight tends to come a little bit early here, okay? Um, Going forward towards the pitcher. Now, if you can hold it back on your back leg a little bit longer, guys that tend to do that tend to be a little bit more explosive, and you'll find that your arm is going to speed up. And that's just a balance thing, just focusing on staying back. Okay, that's something you really could work on in your bullpen session. That's not something when you get on a mound in a live game you want to even think about. Okay, that's just one thing. Anytime you get on a mound in a game, your focus is just on the game. You can't really think about mechanics at that point. Okay, so it needs to be done in a bullpen session. Okay, it is. What's going on here? Yeah, well, you're gonna have a little pause in your video. That's okay. All right, so if we can keep your weight back just a little bit longer, a hair longer on the backside before you come forward, I think you can be more explosive in your delivery, which is going to help your velocity. You just come forward right away. Okay, we can go forward here a little bit. And that's not a major issue. It really isn't. Okay, as like I said before, as you watch all this, right, you do a good job exploding into your front side here. Okay, so I can tell you really have a good idea of what's going on. Okay, I feel like with your release, as we just talked about, uh, you have not a three-quarter release, not an on-top release, somewhere in between. Your hand gets on side of the ball a little bit, just like we talked about when you're throwing your changeup. You want to make sure on top to command it better. Okay, but if we can go forward into our next pitch. Okay, keep going. I want to go towards his release point a little bit. Okay, you can see. Can you see your weight going forward? Do you see that right away? If you can hold it back a hair longer, you're going to be better off. Okay, this is all good stuff right here. How your glove is pulled in tight. Okay, you're doing a good job staying closed with your front side long enough. Okay, which is going to allow you to have good command also, and that torso rotation is going to help in your velocities. You're doing a lot of good things here. Okay, your release point. See, you can see your hand here. Okay, it's on side of the ball. I think that's a fastball. Okay, I think it's a fastball from what I'm looking at. All right, and if we can get our hand just a little bit, and it kind of depends, all right, if you're throwing your two seam or four seam, but guys that can get on top with their two seam, okay, and it depends, like you said, because you're almost throwing two different pitches. You need to decide when you're throwing this two seam, am I throwing my cutter or am I throwing my two seam that I want to run? Because they're two separate pitches, okay? And if that's going to be your cutter, that's fine from this release point. But if you want to get to your two seam, we get up here so that we can start working right on top and try to get it to run down and in on a right-hander, if that makes sense. So you need to decide when you're doing this, am I going to throw a cutter or am I going to throw a two-seam? Because they're different pitches, okay? And it's going to depend on where your hand is. Does this make sense to you? This is more of a cutter release. It's going to help you out. And if we can get your hand more on top, this is going to allow you to, just by getting this release right here, going that way, it's going to allow us to get our run and sink action on our good two-seam fastball. Okay? I know you've heard it before, trying to get extension out in front. You do a pretty good job. There's a little bit of room for improvement there. But overall, your mechanics are sound. And like I said, from what we talked about, um, it makes sense of why you don't have trouble throwing strikes. You know what I mean?
Check out an off speed here.
Yes, let's go ahead.
I think this is the off speed. By the next one.
See, I think you did a better job on that delivery of staying back a little longer. And we're coming. See, this is good stuff. You got good right here. This is a good spot right here. You have good scat pinch right there. Good shoulder pinch back here. Okay, and that's good. That's a good position to be in. You explode, and you'll see this leg start to, as you come forward a little bit, for a few frames, you do a good job of getting out on your front side. This is good stuff right here. Okay, that means you're bringing everything behind your delivery. Okay. Let's go forward a little bit and let's see if we got anything else. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Okay. This is your slider. Okay, slider. And your weight. You see how you can see your body start to rock a little bit. just slightly. And again, everything looks like you're going to throw a fastball, which is good stuff too. And I really think that's a good delivery. And the one thing that's good about that is it looks exactly the same as your fastball. It does. I mean, so that's going to create that deception for the hitter. Go forward a little bit. Let's see if there's anything else in here. I like a lot of the things you're doing. Now extension could be improved a hair. Just really trying to get out and release the ball as far out in front as possible, okay, to make sure our body's going in that direction right towards the catcher. You have extension, but there's still room for improvement there, okay? You do a good job actually of keeping your head, just like we talked about. You don't rock too far. A lot of guys with your arm slot tend to do that, so that's pretty good. And really, like you said, you explode into that front side. Good. That's good.
Check out a change up here.
Yeah. Is you change up is there one here at the end?
There's
I'm trying to
one
remember.
right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, here it is. Let's stop it as close as we can to at his release point. Okay, now you can see it if you go back one frame. You can start to see your hand tilt like we're talking about here. And that's just an area of improvement. This can be a really good pitch for you with a minor adjustment, okay? You can see the hand start to get on the side of the ball. You can see it, and a lot of it has to do with kind of the angle of your arm here. If you launch here, just right here. Okay, if you can bring it in a little bit tighter and get your hand, because you can do a lot of things here. You can create a lot of different angles here. But if we can get on top and adjust the angle here, I think it can be a really good pitch where you're able to locate it. Okay, because it sounds like it's a good pitch. It's just not in the strike zone right now. Is that correct? Okay, and
Check
it's
out one from the
good
stretch
stuff.
here.
One from the stretch. So you got a good arm. You got a good arm swing. That's really good arm action. And it's good stuff. I would say, I mean, mechanically, from the pitchers that I've done today, eh, one of the best. It's right up there. Okay, it's very solid. Okay,
Anything
good.
else you want to add?
No, that's good.
All right.